Welcome to the Chemical Sensitivity Podcast. It's a podcast that amplifies the voices of people with MCS and highlights emerging research about the illness. The focus of this episode is finding community and supporting one another online. Since so many people with MCS are dismissed and misdiagnosed by healthcare professionals, the internet is often a vital source of information about the illness. And because of the social isolation that many folks with MCS experience, connecting with others online and supporting each other can play an important role in many people's lives. In this episode, I'm speaking with Brenda Fincher and Shelley Petit. They've long been involved in one of the largest and most popular online groups for people with MCS. It's known as the Multiple Chemical Sensitivity Group on Facebook. It's been active for about 10 years, and there are now over 8,200 members from around the world. I've been a member for years, and I'm continually grateful for the helpful insights people in the group share and the care and respect folks have for one another. It's not the only online group out there, but thanks to the dedication and hard work of its administrators and the thoughtfulness of its members, it's really a fantastic community. I'll share a link to the group in the write-up for the episode. So just a little bit about our two guests this week. Brenda Fincher has been a longtime admin and member of the Multiple Chemical Sensitivity Group on Facebook. She has MCS, lives in South Carolina in the US, has been married for 35 years, and has two twin adult daughters. Shelley Petit lives in Fredericton, New Brunswick in Canada. Until MCS forced her to become housebound, she was a teacher, girls soccer and basketball coach, and a longtime Girl Guide leader and community volunteer. She's in a long-term relationship with one of her biggest MCS supporters, Norman, has two adult daughters, and has dedicated her new Canary life to advocacy, not just for those with MCS, but for people with all disabilities. Shelley currently serves as the chair of the New Brunswick Coalition of Persons with Disabilities and believes that together we can make a difference. She's been an active member of the Multiple Chemical Sensitivity Group on Facebook for a long time. I hope you enjoy the interview.
I'm Brenda Fincher. I'm from South Carolina.
And my name is Shelley Petit. I live in New Brunswick, Canada.
I'd like to start by asking you to talk a little bit about just some basic info for our listeners, roughly when it got started and how both of you were involved.
Actually, I found the group in 2016 and became a member. Rhonda Burridge from New Zealand had started the group and became an administrator within the next year to help out with the group.
And I came across it in 2019, right after I was put off work indefinitely with MCS. And thank goodness I did, because it saved my life. It literally saved my life. The people in the group and the help they provided to me at a time when I thought I was going insane, because that's what I was being told by the medical community. This group saved my life without a doubt.
Yeah, I understand that it is such a valuable space, and I want to invite you to share more about how you've benefited personally and how you feel others have benefited. And so just to take a brief step back, the group has been around for roughly how many years?
I think it started around 2015. Not exactly sure the date. Rhonda had started a group and then had to close it down for a couple of years and then started another group.
So it's 2022 now, so about 7 years. Why did people who started it feel that Facebook was the right platform? Because there are many options available in terms of social media.
I think it's more user easy, and it kind of gives people the opportunity to not just look for information, but to pour their hearts out to others to find information, but also to get the support that they need.
And right now there are 8,000 members. Has it been sort of a quick increase or like a trickle? How has the group grown over time, would you say?
When I began, I'm thinking there were about 1,000 members. And I think the thing is more people are becoming aware of what they have, because you can't really get a diagnosis with regular medical doctors. And so they start doing research and everything. So once they discover it And it's also a comparison to the type of group we have. There are other chemical sensitivity groups, but their format and what they put on their page is, some are just information and some have more limitations. Some are focused on more certain areas like housing. Some have like herbal nutrition or natural treatments, that type thing. It depends on what the person that starts the group, I think sometimes it's what they've dealt with and they feel like this is what I need to do. With our group, we allow people to vent, we allow people to express themselves, we allow them to share, and we do our best to keep it that no one else criticizes, so to speak. We're a support group because a lot of people have no support. Their family do not understand, their doctors do not understand, and so many say, wow, I'm not alone anymore. I'm not the only one with this. It's like a big family. It always has been to me. I feel like Mama Brenda, like a mother hen. Don't mess with my family. Let's support each other, be kind to one another, and be there for each other.
Yeah.
People go through so many different things in their lives, and even going to counselors, they don't comprehend. Everybody wants to say it's all in your head. So it's just amazing when you find out you're not alone.
I've been a member of the group for maybe 2 or 3 years, and I've really benefited as well, feeling, sense of belonging to community and validated and really connect. It's a wonderful group, and it's different than others because of the characteristics that you're describing, Brenda. And Shelley, perhaps I could invite you to talk a little bit about what prompted you to reach out and join the group, and how would you characterize the nature of the group? Because I'm guessing you may be a member of other groups, or how would you compare? Because to me, the reason we're having this one episode specifically about the multiple chemical sensitivity Facebook group is because it's really a special place. It's really unique.
Yes.
And so I'd love to hear you talk a little bit more.
Yeah. You find the people that are quite similar to you in personality or in experience, and they help you out so much. Because I was home, I was just so lost. I was a teacher, I couldn't go in the schools anymore. I kept collapsing. I had no idea what was wrong with me. Luckily, not luckily, but when I collapsed in April at work and I was brought into the hospital by ambulance, an intern said to me she thought I might have mast cell activation. So she brought that up. So I started looking that up and came across multiple chemical sensitivity and started looking, going, oh yeah, that's me. So then I got into the Facebook group and started, digging around for some information and started expressing what was going on with me. And for the first time, somebody understood, and people could help me out. And two people that came directly to my aid were Mama Brenda and Mama Wendy. And both have been so helpful to me when I was first trying to find my way, and how do you stay safe and what do you have to do? And because I was so depressed, I was at a suicidal point. I had written letters to my two daughters. I had the pills, I had the wine, that was it, I was done. And this group really helped. They did. Like, I credit them with saving my life, because you're in such a terrible health position that you don't know what to do. It's turned things around. And then even, you go digging around through the files and you find information. There's people from all over the world, and they have great information from all over the world, and it helps you out. And then you see what they're doing in other parts of the world, like in Europe, in terms of chemicals. And it really helps push my advocacy here in North America, going, okay, we have to get rid of some of these things. We know that these forever chemicals are dangerous. They're bad. And it really helps give us proof to push for that advocacy. Like, we have to stop making money the most important thing, because when you read articles that say, we're 3 generations away from living the true handmaid's tale of not being able to reproduce anymore because of these chemicals and everybody being sick. Like, is that what we want? Is that what we want for our kids and our grandkids? Of course not. So we have to start making these changes, and we have to start making them today. And all the chemicals that were used throughout COVID and are going to continue to be used because it's coming back again, are adding to people's illnesses. And we're seeing more and more people that are fitting into this category. And now a lot of things with the long haul COVID tend to fit very well in here as well. And it's going to be so many more people. I mean, when I joined back in 2019, there were about 3,000 members. Now we're at 8. That in and of itself should be terrifying some members of government. They should be going, okay, we have to act now.
The numbers really are growing. I've been watching that too, and it's distressing to see. And it's also good to know that there is a space for people to join. I wonder if I could ask you, Brenda, your thoughts on a lot of people comment in the group about the challenges of being believed by either medical clinicians and also family members, friends, etc. Is that something you see a lot? People coming to the group asking, what do I do so people understand what I'm going through?
95%, I would say, has to deal with this because I didn't have access to Facebook. When I was diagnosed, an environmental functional medicine doctor diagnosed me in 2012. Even with that and all the information, it's hard for a family to totally change everything. I know it's hard and it's frustrating because they'll try in one area, and then when you say, oh, I can't take this, or oh, I'm so sick, or, these chemicals affect us in a way that it's hard for us to express to them in a kind manner because you're so sick. You're so sick. It gives you such brain fog. It's very frustrating for family. The people out there that don't have an environmental functional medicine doctor with a diagnosis, it's a nightmare because everybody wants to say, you're crazy, take a pill. You know how many people that has talked to me through Messenger? My spouse says, take a pill. That's synthetic. We're on toxic overload already. We can't process these chemicals. And we feel dismissed and unvalued. We feel thrown away. I'm saying from experience, and you're already so sick and you give up, just like Shelley, you had to leave your career. I went down when my daughters were 10 years old, crushed me. They were my life. It's hard. It's hard on the spouses. It's hard on the children. Your whole life, you can't go to church. You can't go to public places and get groceries. You can't go to movies. You can't get together with friends. It's really hard. So many give up.
It's hard to even go outside for a walk.
Exactly.
I can't go out for a walk without this mask on. I brought it with me. Like, this is what I have to wear to open my door to let my cats in or out. My cat had to go to the vet last year. I had to leave because I'm very fortunate. My family is so supportive. I know I'm one of the rare ones. So I had to go stay at my mom's house for a week when they brought the cat back from the vet because of the smell that was on the cat, so that I wouldn't be dropped dead ill. But I've been lucky. I've had a really supportive partner. Norm has been a lifesaver. He's seen me go down. He's seen me be walking and go down on the street because a diesel vehicle goes by, or someone's got laundry products going, or, his two daughters aren't allowed in our house anymore because they just can't get rid of enough products. Like, it's just, no, they're not allowed in. If they want to come over, it can be in the summer on the steps outside, but they're not allowed inside because this is my safe zone. My mom has been really good at 78, changing everything in her house. My daughters for 21 and 27 have been really good. They have their own clothes for when they come back home to visit. They get rid of their makeup. They do all their hair with vinegar, their clothes with vinegar beforehand. So they've been really good, but they've seen me go down and they saw how distraught I was. A lot of my friends are gone from my life because they just couldn't deal with it. I just didn't have the energy left to try to deal with them. So I just moved on, and it's terrible to do because we have to isolate ourselves from the world, but it's what I've done between this group and working with them and talking with them and then with the other advocacy group that I'm involved with in New Brunswick, just for persons with disabilities. I have a lot of online friends, and people can say whatever they want. They are just as valuable in making those connections here and here. Because with disabilities, they're isolated as well between COVID and between the physical barriers that exist. So, it gives you such a sense of purpose and function again, which has been so important for the brain, which keeps you from spinning out of control, I think. That would be my biggest piece of advice to anyone is find a group that you can do a little bit of advocacy with, that you don't have to commit to full time, because you can't always do things because of you have exposures from Lord only knows what that comes in through the window and right, but something that you can do as a function so that you feel like you're still valuable, because this disease makes you feel so thrown away and so invaluable. And when you get that value back, it's amazing.
both talked about the isolation that many of us face and you've faced, and the sense of purpose that you've gained by being involved. And I wonder, Brenda, if that's something as an administrator on the group for a long time, what's that done for you?
I believe one of the reasons that I was asked to come on was because my compassion. I was sitting here feeling worthless, but I could reach out to someone else and encourage someone else. If I could help one person, it made my day. Just a kind word, sending you hugs. I had went through a lot before I joined Facebook. So I had learned not everything, but a lot through my environmental doctor and just my own experience. Yes, it was a nightmare leaving my home, sleeping in my car because of issues with my home. It was difficult, but had I not walked that path, even though I'm a very caring, compassionate person, I could never understand what another person was going through. Whether I am an administrator or I am a member, I felt like I could always encourage others and share what information I had learned and be supportive. But as an administrator, sweet and sour, because it's really sweet and wonderful to share information to help others, to encourage others. But then it's also very difficult when you see somebody crashing, you see them lashing out to members in the group. The hardest thing for me, and I'm telling you, this is hard, and I still will give every strength I've got in my body till the day I take my last breath, is finding a way for these people to get safe housing and get the financial help that they need. Some people have to leave their homes. They have no clothing. A person's house burns down. People can send them clothing, but they can't use it. It's contaminated. New clothing is covered in chemicals. If somebody gives you their hand-me-downs, it's loaded with their laundry detergent, but they don't understand and they get offended. I wanted to incorporate like the Fun Friday because people need laughter.
Yeah, let's talk about the Fun Friday. What is the Fun Friday?
I started the Fun Friday, and the reason I started it is I learned every day I need to find something to laugh at. If a person's constantly being bombarded, everything's negative in their life, they spiral down more. Laughter is good for you, whether you're sick or not. Laughter is good for you no matter what you are going through. And I just one day decided, every once in a while, someone would share encouragement post or someone would share a joke. If I went on a funny page and I was like, this helps me feel better. Let's start a Fun Friday and get people to participate. People love it.
People post memes and
yes, to make you laugh. Memes, jokes to make you laugh. Friday, everybody just saves up during the week. Anytime someone, maybe they can't participate that day, I'll allow them to share over the weekend or at other times. But I was like, put Fun Friday on it. And then if you can come back later and use that search word, you're having a bad day, pull this up. It helps you forget about your problems. It just takes your mind away from all the terrible things going on in your life.
It's almost a contest on Fridays to see who can get there first and get the first joke up.
If I was late and I forgot, it got to where they would just, I haven't seen it started yet, but hey, I'm, starting my Fun Friday. They really look forward to it. They really do. And
I wanted to ask Shelley, perhaps, and then Brenda, is there one moment or maybe one thing, because you have such a vast amount of knowledge, but is there one thing perhaps, we've talked a lot about the comfort and the solidarity, the sense of community. Is there anything sort of factual? Because it's very complex, right? In terms of do I take supplements? Do I buy a sauna? What kind of food to eat? Is there any in terms of like a practical information that you've learned?
Yeah, I find Raul, and he's over in Europe, has helped me out a lot with math. So he brought me along the way because different people, depending on their sensitivity, need different masks. So a lot of people use some of the more cloth ones. Those didn't help me at all. And he gave me different ideas for personal assistive respiratory devices. He's also given me a really good idea of how he has a vest that he wears, because as COVID is, mask mandates are done where I live now. So when I go out with my mask on, even though 95% of the population is still wearing masks, I get the kids that point, or actually the adults that point, and they laugh. So based off an idea that he does, I have a little business card with a QR code. And when you scan the QR code, it brings you to a little website that I made that doesn't have a lot on it, but just a little bit about MCS and factual things that I've taken from the multiple chemical site and from MCS Canada as well, and just post it. And so if people are saying something or whatever, I just go up and give them the card, and it says, this is not for COVID. This is for my disability. And then it's got the QR code. If you want to know more, scan the QR code. I've actually had, between that and newspaper articles that I've been invited to do, I've pinpointed about 9 other people in the area where I live who, same thing. I thought I was crazy. I thought I was the only one, who are now have some information, are now booked in to see Dr. Fox because he's the specialist in Atlantic Canada. He's a complex or an integrated chronic care specialist. It's just helping to get that information out there. There's a lot of information in our files. People have made up letters for doctors. There's a list of all the different environmental doctors in North America that you could go see for help. There's, lists of different ways to do your clothing. Some people are starting lists that there's more and more bed and breakfasts or Airbnbs are starting to become more chemical free. So people are listing some of those. So there's a lot of stuff there. And if you're not sure and you ask a question, you have to, just like anything on Facebook, you have to be discerning in what you read. But there's so much information that goes out there. You can ask a question. And I know from years of being on that page whose opinions I really value, who lives their life like me. So if I ask a question and Brenda answers it, I know that that's good information. If Wendy answers it, if you answer, like, I know who's giving me good stuff, and it helps me out tremendously. And then there's other people who are maybe not as sensitive and aren't quite there yet to live in total isolation. They'll value other people's opinions, and that's okay. If they're not ready to get to that point yet, even though it would be better for them, you have to do it at your own pace, right? You have to do it at your own pace, or you're just going to be resentful all the time. So I find the page has been tremendous for me. And now when I need to see my regular GP, he just basically asks me, like, he says, I don't know anything about it. I'm retiring in a couple of years. I'm not going to know anything about it. You tell me what you need and I'll sign the form. And that's what he does.
I would like to share my environmental doctor. When I went to him, he gave me a packet. Here's my guidelines. Number 1, eliminate all toxic products, whether it's personal or whether it's something you clean your house with or something that you do your laundry with. Make a safe room. One of the biggest things, get the carpet out of your bedroom. Hardwood or ceramic floor. Test your home for mold. Everyone cannot afford a sauna. So, you have to find some detox protocol, which he directed. And I do think it's best if a person can at least, if you've got gut issues, you've got to get it addressed, because you can take all the supplements on the planet, but that's not necessarily going to help you. There were a lot of tips and things that he gave me to follow to start healing. He said, if you build your immune system up, you can improve this greatly. And infrared sauna was something that he highly recommended. Water filter, shower filter, things like that. You cannot detox synthetic chemicals out of your body just through your liver. You have to work hard at it.
And I think it's helpful because not everyone has access to a doctor who has knowledge in MCS. So you're sharing the information and then people can decide whether it's relevant to them or not. You've noted the amount of stigma or misunderstanding that a lot of people in the wider population have about people with MCS. We're still really stigmatized. I think you've both described it as being thrown out or thrown aside.
I have encouraged people, let's do email campaigns. Let's do advocacy. I've encouraged anyone, look, start a group, start a sister group, address this issue, address that issue. The thing with Facebook is getting so much information out there and educating others of the dangers of the chemicals that are being used in our environment all the time.
It may not help the stigma in society, but it helps us with the idea of the stigma that we face to know that, okay, you're just uneducated. I often refer to it back to fibromyalgia 10 years ago. This is how they were treated. So it's going to take time. There's been some great articles out, like very well researched medical articles that I like to share and share because those help get the ideas across as well. It's important that when we discuss it, that we do it not while we're under an exposure, because we know we get cranky and testy because we're so sick. And I try to explain it afterwards when I'm in a good state of mind, because people just turn the negativity off, right? They don't want to hear it. And I just keep trying to remind people about how important this is and how important it is for your children down the line. Do I think that I will see it changed in my lifetime? Probably not. But we're going to keep working at it, and using the proof that we have from medical journals, and eventually it's going to get there. Like, I have a little bit of faith now in the Canadian government with the study on the forever chemicals. So there's little things that are happening. They're tiny, but every tiny step eventually leads to a bigger step. So we're getting there, and 8,000 people, the more we talk about it, the more it's going to resonate, and the 8,000 is going to turn into 20,000. And then when we're 20 and 30 and 50,000, people have no choice but to listen.
At one point in my life, I used to apologize all the time. I'm sorry. And I had a MCS counselor friend say, quit apologizing. It's not your fault. Take your power back. Basically, I was told, get rid of the victim mentality. I don't owe you an apology because you were wearing toxic chemicals. It doesn't just affect people with MCS. They really need to wake up, because you may not develop MCS, but your regular medical physician, and I respect them, they go through a grueling many years of education, residency, and such, but they are not trained. That's just like if you have a heart doctor, he specializes in your heart condition. If you have an environmental functional medicine doctor, they specialize in people being poisoned, basically. Quit apologizing. And it's hard for families too. And it's hard for us to explain to families and everything, but you're valuable. You are loved.
We just want to thank you again for taking time to speak on the podcast, for all the work you do on the Facebook group, and invite you to share any last thoughts.
I just want to thank you for doing this, Aaron, because this is one of those steps that brings awareness, and awareness is what's going to bring the changes in society. So thank you so much for doing this. Yeah. And it's a whole new podcast for me to listen to. You know, if you're listening to this podcast because you think that this may be something affecting you, come to the webpage. There's no judgment, and you're going to find people that are going to help you. And if it's not what you have, they probably know the answer to what you have, because we've been through so much. And all we want to do is help people feel better about themselves so that they can live the best life they can as a canary, because that's what we are. We're the canaries in the coal mine of yesteryear. And we want to make a better world for us and for everybody else out there, because these chemicals are toxic, and eventually the governments are going to have to come on board and stop allowing them to be sold. That, or we're all going to be dead. So take your pick. Like, I hate to say it that way. So, the governments are going to have to smarten up.
We are approaching businesses, different areas, one at a time. The more of the people that come together, the more we are going to be heard. But I want to encourage everyone, whether they have chemical sensitivities or not, check your products out. Go to PubMed, the National Library of Medicine. This is not just a website that anybody set up. This is research that proves that these pesticides and all these other things are what's causing a lot of people's health issues. It's affecting your animals, and it's affecting our environment, and it is very unnecessary. Convenience is not worth destruction.
We'll definitely link to the Facebook group. Again, thank you so much. It's been really great to come together and hear from you. Thank you. That brings us to the end of this episode of the Chemical Sensitivity Podcast. And thank you to Brenda Fincher and Shelley Petit for joining me. The podcast was produced by me, Aaron Goodman, Danny Penaloza, and Emma Bolsner. Please subscribe to the podcast to never miss an episode wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on social media. Just search for the Chemical Sensitivity Podcast or Podcasting MCS. And get in touch. If there's someone you'd like to hear interviewed on the podcast, just let me know. Email me at info@chemicalsensitivitypodcast.org. I'll definitely respond. And thanks so much for listening.